another sellout crowd inside Hope Coliseum and a gold rush of fans who have lined up for hours for this game. The visiting Kentucky Wildcats hope to quiet the crowd to reach their first Sweet 16 since 2016, while the Mountaineers are looking to advance past the second round for the first time in 34 years. Our winner will transition. And their two stars really represent the differences in the strengths of these teams.
And you're going to see it on these graphics right here. Look at Jordan Harrison at 5'6". She was the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year this year. And on the other side of the ball, look at this Defensive Player of the Year in 2025 in the SEC, Clara Strack at 6'5". So defense comes in a lot of sizes and styles.
When you look at the average height of these starters for these two teams, the difference is stark. The length of Kentucky is imposing, but West Virginia loves to disrupt as we get started here in Morgantown. Ready for tip. And Kentucky in their Kentucky blue uniforms, West Virginia in their old gold. It's a gold rush here inside the Coliseum, and it's going to be a fun one today. Strack into the paint, misses, and Mimi Wheeler with the rebound. West Virginia with their first possession of the game. Wheeler, number 22, going to go inside. A lot of length in there to try to go up over. Gia Cook back irons it and right into the hands of Wheeler.
And the battle of the boards is going to be key for both of these teams. How they can either get offensive rebounds for second looks or defensive rebounds out in transition.
And off the offensive rebound, Gia Cook knocks down the three. And West Virginia picks up full court as we take a look at tonight's starting lineups, brought to you by Capital One. Morgan and Boone, as they just get the ball over the half-court line, will be handling the ball on the perimeter. Hassett, that terrific three-point shooter, and Teonni Key and Clara Strack inside. There's Hassett from the corner. Got it. Big three-pointer. They've exchanged threes to start this game.
And that's exactly what Hassett did last game against JMU, where she hit 5 threes, and a lot of them were in that corner pocket.
Sydney Shaw, the best three-point shooter on this team, but Harrison and Cook can put them in as well. There is Shaw. She's fouled, and a potential 4-point play.
Now that's going to get the crowd into it for a 4-point play. Look at a little drive, a kick out, and Shaw is ready.
And Shaw completes a 4-point play. How about that right away?
That's right. And when we talked to Coach Kellogg earlier in practice, he said making buckets, scoring is going to be important here because they rely so much on their defense. But when they see that ball go through the net, they're a double tough team to beat.
Nice high-low. That's what Kentucky can do. So similar in stature to this Kentucky team. And TCU had beaten West Virginia a couple of times during the regular season, but West Virginia beat them in the Big 12 tournament final.
Yeah, it was great to rewatch that film earlier today and see that TCU, they have 2 6'7" players, and how West Virginia was able to overcome that and win the Big 12 tournament. They won the rebounds, they defended well, even against Olivia Miles, and that's what they're able to do.
Key uses her size and takes it right at McCray inside. West Virginia is typically good at getting in the paint, but it's going to be tougher today, and a good defense by the Wildcats. Interesting to see if West Virginia goes and tries to get it today.
They are so good at digging out that basketball, but you saw Kentucky can spread the floor out. That's what they're going to do. It's 4 out, 1 in, and now you see Strack on the inside of the paint.
She's posted up in the middle of the lane, and Hassett pulls up for a 3 to put Kentucky up.
And so both of the best three-point shooters on each team have hit a long three-point shot.
Big block by Strack. The number 2 shot-blocking team in the nation is Kentucky. They go inside to Obi, who's into the game. 20 seconds on the shot clock for the Mountaineers. Shaw off to Wheeler. Wheeler probing, looking. Looks like it's off Wheeler's leg, yes, and it will be Kentucky basketball.
You see Wheeler trying to make something happen.
And Strack is just so crafty.
Yes.
She keeps a lot of blocks in play. That time she kept the ball in play by off Wheeler's leg, and she gets the offensive rebound and putback.
Yeah, she had 14 boards in that win over JMU. She can do it offensively, defensively, and she's so mobile in her 6'5" frame.
Cook out to Wheeler. Wheeler muscling her way in, makes a tough shot. Strack at the high post. She can turn and fire off the back iron. Sydney Shaw, did she touch it? No, she did not. It'll be West Virginia basketball when we come back. Never taken a team to the Division I Sweet 16. He had success with a couple of Division II programs that made it to the national championship runner-up, but has never been to a Sweet 16 at the Division I level. And right out of the timeout, Jordan Harrison all the way to the hoop. This exact same score at this exact same time, and at that point, West Virginia went on a 17-0 run.
And there's the defensive board for West Virginia. See if they can try to put some pressure on Kentucky. That stance last time by Kentucky, their height just disrupted so much in the middle of the lane.
Wheeler going to try to muscle her way, and she does, and goes against the shot blocker inside.
That is a tough move to be able to finish around Clara Strack underneath the rim.
And that has this crowd fired up. I mean, that's a courageous move and great skill. Amazing.
Yes, and finesse on the reverse layup.
Kentucky needs a shot here to quiet this crowd. Morgan over to Key, 7 to shoot. Strack is trying to push her way in. Key got it. Harrison over to Sydney Shaw. 4 players for West Virginia scored in double figures in their first round win against the Miami Redhawks, as Gia Cook takes it at Strack and is fouled. Iowa was upset by Virginia. Virginia, the first 4 team to advance to the Sweet 16. Congrats to Coach Mox and that team from Virginia.
We were trying to prepare, but in front of us, in front of all these fans too.
Gia Cook at the free throw line after drawing the foul on Strack. Morgan met by Makaleski. Good help defense. Strack puts it on the floor, rises up, can't get it to roll in, and a good hustle play and save by Kaylin Carroll. There's Harrison at 5'6", defending 6'5", and somehow, and Strack
is she just going to be able to pass over the press and into the low post into Key, and they executed it right there.
Harrison short, and Strack there with the rebound. Strack already with 3 rebounds, and the shot clock is off. Tonie Morgan going to take her time. The transfer from Georgia Tech. The all-time single-season assist record holder for Kentucky.
It's like Kentucky's trying to run a set play.
Key from the corner, rims in. Strack is there for the rebound. Does she have time? Got it up. Got it. Big time rebound and shot by the star for Kentucky, Clara Strack. No stranger to the Sweet 16. He took a Virginia Tech team there in 2023 onto the Final Four, and they've had to reinvent themselves this year.
Yes, as we were talking to Coach Brooks, it was about how they went through multiple seasons in one season, and you saw it there. It's kind of broken down into 3 different sections. They start off non-conference really well in the first 2 games of the SEC play. They won, and then they went out with an injury to Teonni Key. You see that she has that elbow brace, and then she came back in, so it's another new team, another reinvention, and you see 7-5, but a lot of those losses were to top AP teams.
Yeah, all 5 losses were to teams rated in the top 7 in the country. As the shot clock is winding down on this possession for West Virginia as we start the second quarter here in Morgantown. Harrison missing that 3-point attempt. A couple of turnovers in the first quarter for Kentucky, but West Virginia was not able to capitalize. That's something they do well, is score off turnovers, and they don't have any points off turnovers here in the early going. Key, this time, hits that baseline jumper.
The touch that Key and Strack have with the basketball is elite. That's something that's going to take them even to the next level, the pro level, because they can shoot those mid-range shots and, of course, also behind the arc.
And she has 10 points already in double figures today. As you mentioned, they were 2 and 4 with her out of the lineup back in January. She's not out that stretch. Kentucky's not a number 5 seed. Harrison makes it to the rim and banks it in.
And as Kentucky has the ball, you mentioned, yes, they're not a 5 seed. At one point, they were actually ranked 6th in the AP polls for the Kentucky Wildcats, as it looks like we're going to get a foul on Hassett's three-pointer. In the middle of the court, they go to her twice, and then you've got the shooters in Boone and Hassett. How you can break down this West Virginia press.
And there are a lot of 6'5" players that just stand in the middle of a press like that.
The passing is so fundamental. She can really do it all in the middle of the court with Strack, and even knows when the ball needs to go forward or out to the side.
You saw Jordan Harrison also going to the bench for a breather. She won't stay there long. She plays a lot of minutes for the Mountaineers. Sydney Shaw off the mark this time. And Morgan will bring it up. Morgan against Shaw now with Harrison on the bench.
And that's an all-big SEC point guard player that has been phenomenal against this tough defense of West Virginia, getting to the free throw line.
Second chance points mounting up for Kentucky. And the fans letting Key hear that. As she comes back and makes the second, has a little grin on her face. Woodley to Shaw. Riviere, nice bounce pass to Woodley, but she misses the layup.
And that was the third option that we were talking about earlier. Great cut by Woodley, just have to finish and go up strong with the taller players in the lane.
Nice hesitation move and then a foul.
Wanted to play for Coach Brooks, and she said, I really want to be developed in my point guard skills, and that was the reason that she chose the Wildcats.
As you see, all SEC second team. She set the assist single season record. Georgia Amore, of course, transferred from Virginia Tech over to Kentucky with Kenny Brooks last year, set the single-season assist record, and then Tonie Morgan turns around and surpasses that this year. Legacy of great point guards.
And the WNBA is so excited to have Georgia Amore back after ACL surgery, but Coach Kenny Brooks, he's known as the point guard whisperer, and that's why Tonie Morgan wanted to come to Kentucky and develop in her own way, and she has been leading this team throughout this entire season for Kentucky.
Additional moves there by Wheeler. That helps West Virginia. They are just 5 of 12 on layups because of the length of Kentucky. On the other end, the Wildcats 6 of 7. Almost a turnover, and it's a 10-second violation. Nobody touched it in the front court.
For West Virginia, causing the 10-second violation.
Gia Cook changes direction. She scores.
Did we just say what is working is her explosiveness with the basketball? She's just got to keep doing that over and over again.
They get it to Strack in the middle.
And look at nice cut by Strack.
And a blocking foul will be called on Riviere as, again, the skills of Clara Strack step to the line to try to complete the three-point play. A 67% free throw shooter misses that. Key skies up. A jump ball will stay on this end of the court. They've got to block out and go up and get the ball because Key just reaching over to get that rebound.
And right now it's 17-10 on the boards in favor of the Wildcats.
Strack,
there it is.
This time Riviere with the rebound.
And we talk a lot about length, and one of the things that you have to do against length, or that you want to be successful at, is bodying them up. You really want to occupy their body, like you mentioned, whether it's the low box outs or just bringing that physicality and get them off their low center of gravity.
And the shot goes down for West Virginia. Wheeler again.
Key bringing it up the floor at 6'5".
Wheeler leading all West Virginia scorers with 8 points and a double dribble called on Kentucky.
is that 6'5", make you think you're a point guard, and then you get the double dribble call, and it's going the other way. Those are the kind of turnovers that they want to see. They want the 6'5" players handling the basketball.
And a nice pass, post to post. Wheeler is having herself a game, 10 points for Mimi Wheeler.
Those drop-off passes are what you have to look for when you get in the middle of the lane.
There's Strack in the middle of the court, putting the ball on the floor again, pulls up. Goes after it with Riviere. It's a jump ball. So again, the press for West Virginia sped Kentucky up on that last possession. Sydney Shaw off the screen.
And that possession was when Kentucky went to a 2-3 zone. That's how you shoot them out of it.
West Virginia last led when they were up 7-5 early in the game. Kentucky has led by as many as 11 points, but West Virginia has cut it to within 2. 5 on the shot clock and a turnover. Sydney Shaw out in front, all by herself, and she ties it up. A 9-0 West Virginia run. Strack has come near traveling the last couple of times.
I was thinking the exact same thing right in front of us here at half court.
Yeah, and Jordan Obi quiets the crowd with that ball bouncing in. Everybody was on their feet trying to get a defensive stop, and the answer from Kentucky.
Kentucky switched back to a player-to-player defense now.
Here's Shaw to Cook. Cook always ready to ignite. Mark Kellogg is directing the play from the other end and all the way to the rim. That's what Gia Cook does really well.
Oh, and that was the mismatch they needed, is her athleticism against Hassett.
Tied up again. Kentucky had an answer the last time down the court. Strack turns, fires. Boy, just calm and collected. She has such a great face-up game. 8 points, 4 of 9 for the junior from Buffalo, New York. 2 minutes remaining. Gia Cook turns on the Jets again. And this time it's a blocking foul, and Gia Cook a little slow to get up.
Well, she took a hard hit there.
She makes the first. Well, coverage of the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship. As the men are all set up with the Sweet 16, the women try to wrap things up today to get the field 6-1 going against 6-5. You got to be a little crafty, but just was caught that time. Strack going to post up Riviere. Going to work.
I think Strack got away with a double dribble there on that move. Kind of stumbled on the block.
But West Virginia still has not been able to regain the lead. They've tied it up a couple of times. And now they're going to call an illegal screen. Too wide of a stance, Brenda Pantone. Kentucky trying to get to their first Sweet 16 in 10 years, as opposed to the West Virginia program that hasn't been there since 1992. Key at the free throw line. Looking.
Huge mismatch with Shaw guarding her.
Key goes to post up, and it's knocked away. Out in front, Gia Cook giving chase. Turns, there's Hassett, and she draws the foul. So Gia Cook and Tonie Morgan. Gia Cook of West Virginia, Tonie Morgan of Kentucky, both shaken up right now. Both of them before this free throw, as Gia Cook makes her first free throw. 76% free throw shooter, all Big 12 honorable mention. She makes both. Sixth tie. There's only about 2 seconds difference between the game clock and shot clock. Carroll blocked. And an opportunity here for West Virginia to take its first lead since they were up 7-5. And Jordan Harrison took the last shot of the quarter in the first, second, and third quarters of their first round game. She hesitates and has that one blocked. And it's blocked out of bounds, 1.5 seconds remaining.
With Hassett guarding her, she's got the speed. Now that the ball's out of bounds, look for Gia Cook again on the outside.
1.5 on the clock. Harrison, Sydney Shaw, no. That would have given West Virginia the lead, but what a first half here in Morgantown. All tied up at 36. We've had 6 ties, just one lead change. Just amazing to me that the paint points are almost even in this game. Gia Cook leading the way for West Virginia. Teonni Key, 11 points for Kentucky. This game was tied at 30, at 32, at 34, and 36. It was close down the stretch as Kentucky led by as many as 11 points in that first half, but West Virginia closed the gap at the end. Kentucky with the first possession of the third quarter. First appearance in the Sweet 16 since 2016 on the line for the Wildcats. West Virginia hasn't been there in 34 years. And just before the halftime, Sydney Shaw had a three-pointer rim in and out and misses the first one of the third quarter. As the last time West Virginia led, it was 7-5. Boone hits the three. She was in a little foul trouble in the first half and had limited time.
No smart read by Boone, one of the best three-point shooters in the nation that can shoot that basketball. Over 90 three-pointers she's had on the season. It looked like a mismatch where a post player was trying to guard her, so it was giving her too much space on the line.
McCray on the block, out to Sydney Shaw, puts it on the deck, and she turns it over trying to go inside. We saw Boone hit that three-pointer. She and Hassett both broke the single-season three-point record this year.
Well, just to touch on your three-point shooting stories, that was so fun to watch in the SEC tournament. They were going back and forth between breaking it between Boone and Hassett as they stand together at the top of the three-point line. And they were even assisting on those threes together.
They're the three-point shooters together. You call them the Splash Cats?
Yes, we call them the Splash Cats. Yes, only team in the nation to have two players that have over 90 threes together.
So what does West Virginia have here to start the third quarter? Gia Cook was really good. Wheeler also had a great first half in double figures. She's going to work. She's getting an offensive foul again on that hook.
Again, yeah, the spin move and then just putting her arm behind the defensive player's back.
Key powers it inside, and Kentucky has stretched out the lead.
You mentioned it in the first half, but that is exactly what West Virginia wants you to do, is have your 4 and 5 players think that you're a point guard and where they can cause some turnovers.
West Virginia still hasn't scored here in the third quarter, 3 minutes in. Harrison changing direction, can't finish at the rim. Harrison just held to 4 points so far for West Virginia. Strack going up in traffic and scoring. Strack now with 12.
One of the things that's happening for West Virginia is their defensive transition. They are not on their right matchups, so that is why they're having to chase, and Strack gets that offensive rebound because she's against a guard instead of the posts and guards matching up together.
Harrison just not able to get to the rim in this game. And Gia Cook has, though, and she banks it in. That's the first basket of the third quarter for West Virginia.
Brenda, you and I were talking at halftime how great Cook was off the dribble, and when that worked so well in the second quarter, got to go back to that.
Reverse layup missed by Morgan, but she tracks down her own rebound.
That's where some of that length comes in. That can even get those tip-outs for the second opportunities.
Hassett into Strack. Little give and go to Key. They really need one from Sydney Shaw, and she can't hit that three. All yesterday, the better seeded teams, the home teams, won.
Yeah, and it's because of that ball movement you just saw on the replay by Kentucky. They're just passing the ball. They're playing with a lot of energy. They're making cuts, which is what you have to do against this tough defensive team.
And a foul on McCray going to the rim. Strack, all SEC first team at the free throw line. Kentucky, they've outscored West Virginia 12-2 here in the third.
And one of the top 5 finalists for the Lisa Leslie Player of the Year award in the entire nation against so many different defenses and also her defensive prowess. It's only a junior.
Harrison misses, gets her own rebound, dribbles it out. Sydney Shaw got it. She had missed her last 3 three-pointers in a row. As Strack leading the way for Kentucky, 14 points, 9 rebounds, nearing a double-double. Gia Cook leading the way with 15 for West Virginia.
Not of the timeout. West Virginia will change up their defense again, but
Boone racking up another three-pointer as she did earlier in the third quarter. Harrison kicks to Wheeler. Wheeler spins, avoids the hook that time, and she scored, and will go to the free throw line.
Other side of the block, that's what opened up the lane for Mimi Wheeler.
Wheeler misses the second free throw. Harrison back in the backcourt being pesky. They get it to Key in the middle of the court.
That's exactly where they wanted the basketball.
Boone again! 3 three-pointers in the third quarter. Largest lead of the game for Kentucky. Harrison got it. Big time.
This is what West Virginia wants, with Key dribbling the basketball up the court.
Kentucky able to get through the press. Morgan just has it slip out of her hands. What a hustle play by Strack at 6'5" to save that back in. Morgan. And Wheeler commits the foul. So Tonie Morgan at the free throw line. And that's what she's looking at through the backboard. And she is still in the ball game. Shaw, top of the key. Good defense. Floating it up there, no good. And Kentucky controlling the boards. Steal from Sydney Shaw. Takes it right at Morgan, goes to the opposite side.
On that possession, Shaw just needs to be fundamental. You get the great steal, you're one-on-one, which you hardly have against this Kentucky team. Got to jump stop and finish.
Key gets her own rebound, gets tied up, gets it back, and scores. And that's just Strack and Key continuing to work together. That's a little of that telepathy you just talked about.
I mean, the way that Key is playing is phenomenal. She is going to be getting a lot of looks to play in the WNBA.
Wheeler spinning, and she goes to the other side.
And that's where that play works right there, is when the defense is on your back.
Quick change of direction, beautiful jumper.
And that's Tonie Morgan's bread and butter.
Harrison drops it down to Riviere, who can't finish.
There's just too many missed layups for West Virginia. Kentucky on the other side. I love how Tonie Morgan is always looking for a three-point shooter. She always knows where they're at.
Jordan Harrison picked up the foul. Kentucky is out-rebounding West Virginia in this quarter alone. Tonie Morgan back at the free throw line. She was a track and field star. Long jump, high jump, hurdles, and the 4x4 relay. I mean, you can see what an incredible athlete she is.
As when Tonie Morgan is looking for a shot, we are a different and better team. And you saw her getting to the free throw line, hitting that jumper.
Under a minute to play in the third quarter. It's been all Kentucky this quarter, outscoring the Mountaineers 26-12. But Gia Cook draws the foul as she drives in with West Virginia. She transferred over from Houston, where she was the second leading scorer last year for the Cougars.
Into our system, we want you to score, but we also want you to defend. She has a motor.
8 on the shot clock. Strack. 4, 2. Does Key see it? Yes, she rises up and doesn't hit the rim.
The burners to get downhill. The other option I like is Gia Cook with the basketball, but you mentioned it, Makaluski and Shaw, three-point shooters on the outside.
Little fake by Jordan Harrison, but she isn't able to finish the layup. That's the way the third quarter will end, with the Wildcats having a big quarter. West Virginia hasn't made it there since 1992, and they haven't had any comebacks of 10 or more points this year, and that's what they're up against. As we start the fourth quarter, the Wildcats up 62-50, and Wheeler.
But that move right there by Wheeler was big for the Mountaineers.
Key down to Strack. The two of them have worked so well together today, and a traveling call on Strack. Too much for West Virginia to handle in the paint. A combined 31 points. Harrison refusing the screen. Sydney Shaw got it. 5 straight points to start the fourth quarter for the Mountaineers. And that gets the crowd into it. Key puts it on the floor all the way in for a layup. Gets right by Wheeler.
Not only did Strack break down the press, then it was Key taking it all the way in, showing their ball handling skills as well.
Sydney Shaw lines up again. Got another for West Virginia. A hard screen by Strack. She receives the high-low pass and misses. I don't think she was expecting it. Here comes Harrison. Goes in between.
They are contesting and rushing at shots, and it is sped up Kentucky on the offensive side. This is what we expected from the Mountaineers, is this stress Virginia, because at any time they can turn it around, cut this lead down to 4.
Morgan pulls up, banks it in. Cook runs into Key, pulls it out. 7 on the shot clock. Sydney Shaw, not this time. She had 2 3-pointers earlier in the fourth quarter.
This is smart by Kentucky, is to take their time right now, get something set up. Last time Clara Strack had a great look one-on-one. She's got excellent footwork to get her the ball back on the basket. Let's see if they look for her.
Sydney Shaw on the ball, high-low to Strack, right there.
Yeah, you can see that when a team like Kentucky.
That's what's on the line today. Kenny Brooks and his squad up 68-60. West Virginia called a timeout. They had gotten within 4 points here in the fourth quarter, but Kentucky went back inside to Strack. And Gia Cook,
but I like the confidence of Gia Cook putting the team on her basket there with a huge knockdown 3.
Gia Cook now with 20 points to lead the Mountaineers. Morgan throws it up at the basket. Teonni Key checked back into the game for the Wildcats.
And we talked about Clara Strack earlier, about her being a top 5 player of the year for the Lisa Leslie Award. You're looking at Tonie Morgan, also top 5 in the nation, finalist for the Nancy Lieberman point guard. It's assisting, scoring, but orchestrating offense.
They played so well down the stretch and won the Big 12 tournament championship was because of their defense. They have given up 70 points to Kentucky today.
And they usually hold teams within around 30% field goal percentage, and right now you can see Kentucky's at 48%.
And a foul on Amelia Hassett, her third. Gia Cook, a 76% free throw shooter, misses. And she splashes home the second. The lead is 6. And an illegal screen on Key wipes out.
Where they're trying to run just a ghost screen, so it looks like they're setting a screen, but then go to the block, and it causes so much space for Tonie Morgan to work in the middle of the lane. That really works for the Wildcats.
Big possession here for West Virginia. Sydney Shaw, jumper. It's back to...
And they say she's the ultimate competitor with all the strengths she wants to be in the self-development, player development. She always wants that. And look at that. She wanted the ball right there.
She wanted the ball. She got the save, the key play, and then she scores it to stretch the lead back to 6. Sydney Shaw from the corner. Got it! Kentucky holding on to a 3-point lead. They get it to Strack.
One-on-one in the post. Here's Strack.
And here comes Harrison to steal it away. Harrison out in transition, takes it right at Boone and picks up the foul. The Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year strips the ball from Strack. The 4th foul on Asia Boone puts Jordan Harrison at the line. She makes... West Virginia has not had a comeback of more than 10 points this season. They were down by 12 starting the 4th quarter. And Harrison makes it a 1-point game.
West Virginia will continue to press even during this time. Kentucky needs to be getting the ball into Tonie Morgan's hands so she can set up the offense. The Wildcats' last couple of plays have set ball screens for Morgan and let her work, and then followed up with a post play into the below block.
There she is again. Uses the screen. Got it. Just like you called it, that's what they've been doing. And West Virginia calls a timeout to advance it. What a play. What a cool customer Tonie Morgan is.
Yes, this is exactly what Tonie Morgan does. One, she has the ball in her hands, and they have been setting screens nonstop the second half for her, and they get low on those screens, so all she has to do is a one-dribble pull-up.
What's at stake? A berth in the Sweet 16 in the Fort Worth Regional 3. 10 years for Kentucky, 34 years for West Virginia.
There's Harrison off the screen. Watch for Shaw.
Good cover up by Hassett defensively. Wheeler looking for Shaw. Gia Cook, the clock is winding. 11 on the shot clock. Cook turns on the afterburners, and she's fouled by Boone. That will be the 5th foul for Asia Boone. The clock stops, and Gia Cook will go to the free throw line. 76% free throw shooter. She's 9 of 10. She looks to be working out her calves a little bit. Seemed to kind of cramp up on her on the floor. And now the free throws. She makes the first. Gia Cook drains the second, and Kenny Brooks does just that. Just one timeout remaining now for the Kentucky Wildcats.
You got to look at Boone there, who already hit 3 threes in the game, is now fouled out. So Kentucky playing out with one of their best shooters.
Hassett to inbound it. There's only about a 3-second difference between the game clock and shot clock. Will West Virginia play it out, or will they commit the foul?
They're committed to their defense. They will stay defending.
Harrison double team. Here comes the double team on Key. She puts the ball on the floor. It's knocked away. Obi comes up with it. Has it going to go for a 3? Goes for the knockout punch. Doesn't get it. And a timeout called by West Virginia. A timeout called as West Virginia down 1 will advance it to the front court. 8.3 seconds remaining. West Virginia with an opportunity to go to the Sweet 16 for the first time since 1992. Shaw looking to inbound. Gets it to Cook. Cook around the screen. Pulls up. Rims around. Out. Into the hands of Kentucky. They call a timeout. Gia Cook, who had scored 23 points today, and they weren't able to get it to drop.
Look at Gia Cook. Look at the separation that she's able to create with that crossover, and that just hangs on the rim.
18 points and 15 rebounds for Clara Strack as Kentucky inbounds it with .8 remaining. In Fort Worth.
We're looking at the time now.
After review, Kentucky's leg is last to make contact with the ball, causing it to go out of bounds. Therefore, the ruling has been overturned.
timeout, West Virginia was able to advance it to the front court. Illinois, Vandy coming up next. They've already started, but a little better angle here for West Virginia to throw it in. Riley Makaleski will inbound it for West Virginia. The throw up, the tip. Wait, no, a whistle. A whistle was blown. Brenda Pantoja said she caught it. She didn't tip it. No good. The attempt is no good, and Kentucky wins it. It will be a sweet trip to Fort Worth for Kentucky, advancing to their first Sweet 16 since 2016.